Welcome to our latest update on global conflicts, and let's be honest, the title latest update is doing some pretty heavy lifting there. Because, and it's bleak to even say this, saying latest implies that there's some kind of end in sight. And frankly, with the sheer amount of not peace happening right now, latest might be a little optimistic, isn't it? Today, we're diving into the wars currently happening around the world. Strap in, folks, because if history is any indication, this is going to be one bumpy, depressing, and morally complex ride. Let's start with Yemen, because if we're talking about depressing global conflicts, it's basically the overachiever of the group. It's been simmering, boiling over, and generally making everyone miserable for years now. The short version, it's essentially a proxy war, which is a fancy way of saying other countries are fighting each other, using Yemen as a very volatile puppet show. On one side, you've got the Houthi rebels backed by Iran. On the other, a Saudi-led coalition desperately trying to prop up the internationally recognized government. Recent developments? Well, recent is relative, isn't it? Let's just say it's still a humanitarian catastrophe with millions displaced and facing starvation. But hey, at least we can all agree on one thing. Bombing civilians and hospitals is bad, right? Next up, Syria, a conflict so convoluted, so riddled with factions and shifting alliances that even trying to explain it feels like you're trying to untangle Christmas lights in July. You've got Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, clinging to power like a particularly stubborn barnacle. You've got Russia backing him up because apparently nothing says stable international relations like supporting a guy who uses chemical weapons on his own people. Oh, and don't forget Turkey, who's worried about Kurdish forces gaining autonomy. And ISIS, because no geopolitical party is complete without a healthy dose of nihilistic terrorism. Recent development? It's still a mess, but the focus has shifted from all-out war to a kind of tense stalemate, with everyone eyeing each other suspiciously while occasionally lobbing the odd mortar round. Progress? Debatable. Exhausting? Absolutely. Chapter 3. Tigray War, Ethiopia's internal struggle. Moving on to Ethiopia, where the Tigray region has become synonymous with conflict. The Ethiopian government, led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, is facing off against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or TPLF. It's a power struggle, essentially, with accusations of human rights abuses flying faster than drone strikes. The conflict has had a devastating impact on the region, leading to a humanitarian crisis with widespread displacement and reports of ethnic cleansing. Recent developments? There have been some attempts at peace talks, but progress has been about as smooth as a cheese grater massage. The international community is urging all parties to stop the violence and allow humanitarian aid to reach those in need. But hey, urging is easy, isn't it? It's the whole actually doing something that seems to trip everyone up. Chapter 4, Afghanistan. The forever war that ended, but didn't. Afghanistan. The name alone probably makes you want to reach for a stiff drink and a history book, preferably one with lots of pictures of cute animals to distract from the depressing reality of human conflict. After 20 years, the US finally pulled out, leaving the country in the hands of the Taliban. And surprise, surprise, it turns out that a group known for its, shall we say, uncompromising views on human rights and women's rights isn't exactly great at running a country. The economy is in shambles, there's a humanitarian crisis, and girls are being denied education. Recent developments? It's a chaotic mix of Taliban trying to consolidate power, resistance groups popping up, and the international community trying to figure out how to engage with a group that makes Genghis Khan look like a moderate. Chapter 5, Ukraine, the one that makes you question humanity. And finally we come to Ukraine. The conflict that, let's face it, makes all the others look like playground squabbles. Russia, led by Vladimir Putin, decided that invading a sovereign nation was a perfectly reasonable thing to do, apparently forgetting that it was the 21st century and not, the 19th. The result? A full-blown war in Europe with thousands dead, cities reduced to rubble, and a global energy crisis. Recent developments? It's still a bloody stalemate, with both sides digging in for what looks like a long, drawn-out conflict. The international community has rallied behind Ukraine, providing weapons and humanitarian aid, but the situation remains dire. And honestly, if this conflict doesn't make you question the very nature of humanity, then congratulations, you have a heart of stone. So there you have it. A whirlwind tour of the world's most pressing conflicts. We've laughed, we've cried, mostly cried, and we've all probably aged about a decade in the process. Thank you for watching. Stay informed and stay safe, because frankly, in this day and age, that's about the best we can hope for. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more updates on global issues, because apparently the world isn't quite done with its descent into chaos just yet.